So the magistrate judge overseeing this hearing today has remanded Sean Diddy Combs into custody after he was charged with that trafficking case. He was let out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals, and he will be held in federal detention.
You won't believe what went down in court recently with Diddy, the legendary music mogul known for his confidence. However, his usual swagger clashed head-on with a no-nonsense judge, and the courtroom quickly became a scene of tension. Diddy, facing serious accusations that could land anyone else in jail for a long time, walked in unfazed, exuding confidence. But the situation was about to change drastically. Despite the gravity of the case, Diddy acted arrogantly, seemingly thinking his fame could shield him from the consequences. As the hearing began, he appeared detached and dismissive, even smirking at times. This attitude did not sit well with the judge, who grew increasingly frustrated. The tension hit a breaking point when the judge snapped. He scolded Diddy in a way no one expected, delivering a verbal beatdown that cut through the courtroom's air. "This is not a game, Mr. Combs," the judge growled, emphasizing that this was real life and not some music video where you walk away once the cameras stop rolling. Diddy's smirk vanished as the seriousness of the situation became apparent. The judge didn't hold back. He reminded Diddy that the charges against him could destroy his life, and that this wasn't just about his fame. Real people had been hurt by his actions. While Diddy initially looked shaken, he quickly regained his arrogant composure, as if he believed he could brush it all off. But the judge wasn't done. He emphasized the lack of respect Diddy had shown for the courtroom and the judicial process, calling Diddy's attitude an insult to everyone present. The tension mounted, and the gallery seemed to rally behind the judge. At one point, Diddy's lawyer tried to step in, but the judge dismissed him and continued to grill Diddy, making it clear that celebrity status meant nothing in his courtroom. The stakes were high, and the judge wasn't about to let Diddy's fame sway his decision. Despite the intense scolding, Diddy remained unfazed, living in a world where it seemed like consequences didn't apply to him. The judge, however, reminded him that the allegations had a ripple effect, affecting real lives, and that Diddy couldn't just walk away. Even after the judge's powerful speech, Diddy's reaction was shocking. He sat there smirking, seemingly untouched by the gravity of what was happening. But the judge wasn't going to let him off easily. The result? Bail denied. Again. You'd think this would shake Diddy, but he remained defiant. His legal team, quick to react, launched an appeal. They pulled out all the stops, bringing in high-profile attorneys like Anthony Rico and Alexander Shapiro to fight the bail denial. They even proposed a $50 million bail and strict conditions like house arrest and an ankle monitor. They claimed Diddy was no threat and would sell his private jet to prove he wasn't a flight risk. But the prosecution wasn't having it. They argued that Diddy's fame allowed him to manipulate people and control situations to his advantage, painting him as a master at dodging accountability. They even claimed he had been contacting witnesses from behind bars, trying to bribe them into silence. The prosecution made it clear that Diddy's wealth and influence made him a danger, and letting him out on bail would be risky. Despite the legal team's best efforts, the judge wasn't convinced. He denied bail again, leaving Diddy to face another harsh reality. He wasn't going anywhere. And while his legal team continues to fight, it's becoming clear that Diddy's arrogance and belief that he is untouchable might finally be catching up to him. Diddy was in much deeper than he realized, and the public's opinion quickly shifted. At first, many believed that his fame and fortune would pave the way for an easy escape. After all, he's one of the biggest names in the game with endless connections. But as the legal battle dragged on, things changed. What once seemed like a simple case of a celebrity clearing their name quickly turned into a desperate fight to keep Diddy's empire from crumbling under the weight of serious criminal charges. The conversation shifted. People were no longer asking when Diddy would get out, but whether he ever would. As more details emerged, the seriousness of the charges became harder to ignore. Diddy's behavior in court only made things worse. He acted like he was untouchable, completely detached from the gravity of the situation, which did not win him any sympathy. The media fed off his attitude, turning each court appearance into a frenzy of flashing cameras and headlines. But as Diddy continued to act nonchalant, people began to ask, if he's innocent, why isn't he taking this seriously? To make matters worse, the floodgates of accusations opened. Former associates, industry insiders, and even random individuals began coming forward with shocking stories, adding fuel to the already blazing scandal. Allegations that had once been whispers were now being shouted from the rooftops. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Diddy, it was about how deep the scandal ran and how many more bombshells were waiting to drop. As Diddy's second bail attempt was denied, it became clear that he was in for the fight of his life. He wasn't just battling charges, he was up against a system that didn't care about his fame, money, or status. The judge made it clear that Diddy wouldn't receive special treatment, and with each new piece of evidence, the stakes only got higher. It was no longer just about securing bail. It was about Diddy's entire reputation hanging in the balance. Despite the mounting challenges, Diddy clung to his confidence, or perhaps it was arrogance, acting like he had everything under control, even though the walls were closing in. Every twist and turn in the case felt like watching a real-life thriller. But the question on everyone's mind was how long Diddy could hold onto his attitude before reality hit. After 2 failed attempts at bail, you'd think he'd feel the pressure. Yet, here he was, gearing up for a 3rd try, more determined than ever. This time, the stakes were bigger than just his freedom. The charges, witnesses, and media frenzy had reached fever pitch. The courtroom was tense. Everyone knew that this 3rd attempt was make or break for Diddy. If he failed again, the message would be clear. Diddy wasn't walking free anytime soon. As he strolled into court once more, carrying the same self-assured swagger, it was obvious that something had shifted. The air was thick with anticipation, and everyone, including the judge, was watching closely to see if this would be the moment Diddy finally cracked, or if he would continue clinging to his confidence despite the storm closing in around him. This wasn't going to be another round of empty promises and smooth talk. The judge was done with Diddy's arrogance after 2 failed bail attempts and had his own plan to lay down the law. Diddy's legal team pulled out all the stops, painting him as a misunderstood figure, a victim caught in a web of false accusations and media frenzy. They highlighted his contributions to the music industry and charity, promising he would comply with any conditions the court imposed. But you could sense their desperation. However, the prosecution wasn't buying it. They came in swinging, focusing on the mountain of evidence piling up against Diddy. They emphasized the real threat he posed, not just to the legal process, but possibly to the safety of others given his influence. This wasn't just about keeping him locked up for the sake of it. They genuinely believed Diddy couldn't be trusted. When the judge finally delivered his decision, the tension in the room was palpable. He spoke gravely, revisiting the reasons behind the previous bail denials, making it clear that this wasn't a decision made lightly. The judge didn't hold back, addressing not only the charges but Diddy's behavior. He emphasized that Diddy acted like he was above the law, and that arrogance was digging him deeper into trouble. For the first time, you could see a shift in Diddy's demeanor. As the judge spoke, it seemed like Diddy finally realized the seriousness of his situation. Gone was the untouchable confidence. He appeared to understand that this wasn't just a crisis he could sweep under the rug. However, whether that newfound understanding would stick remained to be seen. Would Diddy change his approach, or would he continue to act like nothing could touch him? When the judge denied bail for the third time, the room was shocked. This was a bold statement, a reality check that Diddy's fame and fortune wouldn't give him a free pass. Even the media had a field day, with headlines screaming about Diddy's courtroom defeats and the judge's scathing words. Social media buzzed with debates and memes, some siding with Diddy, others convinced this was karma catching up to him. Despite all this, Diddy remained defiant. His legal team was quick to file another appeal, showing that they were gearing up for a long fight. With top-tier attorneys and endless resources, Diddy wasn't about to throw in the towel. But as the stakes got higher, whispers of more dark accusations started circulating, suggesting that this case might just be scratching the surface. Suddenly, Diddy wasn't just facing criminal charges, he was being painted as a central figure in a larger web of scandals. His legacy, fame, and fortune were all under siege. The storm surrounding him was growing, and high-profile names from the industry were emerging, ready to air their dirty laundry. These explosive revelations threatened to tear down everything Diddy had built, making the legal battle even more intense. As this courtroom drama unfolded, one thing was clear. This wasn't the end. Diddy might have lost this round, but with his dream team of attorneys and determination, the fight was far from over. The world was watching, waiting to see if Diddy could find a way out, or if he would finally face the consequences of years of controversy. The stakes couldn't be higher, and with each twist, the drama deepened. The involvement of Tupac Shakur's family took the case against Diddy to a new level, digging deep into potential links between Diddy and events from the golden era of hip-hop. As the investigation intensified, it seemed like Diddy's past was finally catching up to him, pulling the case into realms no one could have imagined. The media couldn't get enough. Each day brought new twists, connecting Diddy's current legal troubles to past connections with notorious figures and long-standing feuds. This wasn't just about the courtroom anymore. Diddy's legacy was on trial. On the surface, Diddy played it cool, still exuding his trademark confidence, but it was becoming clear that he wasn't just fighting legal battles in the present. He was up against decades of history, and his empire was being torn apart, piece by piece, by his own past. Diddy's legal team worked tirelessly, battling not just the current charges, but also trying to poke holes in the RICO charges that painted Diddy as more than a music mogul, someone running a hidden empire of corruption. The use of RICO laws, typically reserved for taking down mob bosses, against a household name like Diddy, turned his life into a high-stakes thriller. The prosecution wasn't holding back, digging into every corner of Diddy's life, from shady business deals to long-buried feuds, trying to paint a picture of him as a mastermind of organized crime. As the tension in the courtroom mounted, people wondered whether Diddy would take the stand to defend himself or stay silent, letting his high-powered legal team handle the heat. Testifying would be a risky move, especially in a federal case where the stakes were sky-high. The trial hadn't even started, but the tension was already rising as both sides prepared for an all-out war. Outside the courtroom, Diddy's trial was becoming a spectacle. Social media buzzed with debates, and fans were divided. Some still believed in him, defending him as a victim of a conspiracy. Others, however, saw this as the inevitable fall of a star who had flown too close to the sun. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team searched for any crack in the prosecution's case. But the prosecution was building a fortress of evidence, determined to take him down. Then came a bombshell, new evidence that could flip the entire trial on its head. Suddenly, Diddy's connections, past relationships, and business deals were under the microscope. The prosecution had gathered an arsenal of receipts, messages, and testimonies, painting Diddy as someone deeply connected to a web of shady dealings. This wasn't just about his fame anymore, it was about survival. The courtroom became a stage, with Diddy at the center, watching as his life and reputation were picked apart for all to see. Former associates, business partners, and even mysterious figures from Diddy's past began to emerge, ready to spill the tea. The prosecution's narrative was clear. Diddy wasn't just a man who had made bad decisions. He was someone who had built his success on questionable foundations. They wanted the jury to see him not just as a music mogul, but as a mastermind behind a network of corruption. The most talked about moment came when a former associate took the stand. This person had known Diddy from his early days, and their testimony painted a picture of ruthless ambition, revealing a side of Diddy few had seen. Diddy's legal team fought back, questioning the witnesses' credibility and suggesting they had their own motives for speaking out. But despite their defense, the testimony struck a nerve. For the first time, Diddy's confidence wavered. Then, another bombshell dropped. A close friend of Diddy publicly distanced themselves from the music mogul, citing the serious nature of the allegations. This stunning move raised even more questions about Diddy's innocence and whether his support system was starting to crumble. As the trial continued, the stakes only grew higher. With each new revelation, the case became more unpredictable. The world was left wondering, could Diddy find a way out, or was this the final chapter in his rise and fall story? The public, the media, and the music industry were watching closely as Diddy's future hung in the balance, waiting to see if more people would step away as the drama continued to unfold. What are your thoughts on this shocking turn of events? Do you think more people will distance themselves from Diddy as the case progresses? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest updates on this unfolding saga.